no, it's up to camera. For everybody, but
Okay, no. Right there, right here. 2, 3. Go all the way to the end. Okay, go all the way right here. Right in front of him. Let me see, as long as you're not in front of the, is it right there? Okay. Back first. Come over. Skip a seat, baby. Thank you, Jordan. Watch out. Got it? Yeah, I'm just trying to leave some room right there. Okay, are we ready, sir? Right here. I don't know if anyone else is going to join us, but we're going to get started. Good morning. Good morning. Awesome. On the count of 3, I want to hear go jerseys. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Go jerseys. Woo, awesome, 5th graders. You were the ones selected to come and see an author, Coach Brew. And he's going to talk about all the great things that he has done and all the books that he has written and what he has done to be successful. So we are very lucky to have him here. I want you to give him your best attention and your Jersey Scholar, always a Jersey Scholar, attention and excellence. Don't forget that. That's who you are. So let me just tell you a little bit about him before he gets started. So he is a highly sought after speaker and author. Sir, can I see your book? I know you have a picture right there, but can I see your book? Oh.
There you go.
This is his book, Roody Kanjaroo. And some of you bought it and it's already signed by him. Awesome. So he's going to tell you about this book and how this book got started. So let's give him your attention and learn. Because every day we learn and we get better. So, he also has been a coach. And he will tell you about his experience. He wrote another book called Chin Up, Chest Out, Move Forward. Never give up. So it's about our mindset. And we talk about that all the time. It's what you think, what you believe, your mind can achieve, being positive, helping each other out. Because we are what are we here? One more time, we are family. That's all we have. So let's make it a great day. Coach, take it away.
Thank you. Everybody can hear me, clap your hands once, twice, 3 times, and give yourselves a round of applause. Congratulations on being the class that got selected, or the classes that got selected to be here. I'm really excited to see you today, and I want to thank everyone from your administration to all your teachers who are here and have given us the opportunity to share our message with you. Everyone watching on the live stream, thank you for your attention today. What I'd like to do is give a special thank you to our sponsor, Thomas J. Henry, who through their generosity brought me down here to visit a number of schools over the course of the week this week. So big thanks, Thomas J. Henry, and to your school administration as well. You guys want to play a game before we get started? Yeah. So if you're watching in your classroom, you can also play along with this game. It is a little game called Heads or Tails. So before we get started, what we're going to do is I'm going to flip a coin. And you have to guess whether it's heads or tails, but you're not going to shout out heads or tails. What you're all going to do is you are going to either put your hands on your head if you think it's going to be heads, or put your hands on your tails if you think it's going to be tails. Okay? So what I need you to do is everyone's going to stand up, and go ahead and stand up. Now here's the catch. Okay? If you guess wrong, you're going to have to take your seat. Okay? And I need each of your teachers to play along. Okay? And we're just going to see who the last man or woman is standing. Okay? So I need you to go ahead and make your guess, heads or tails. And we're operating on the honor system here for those of you I can't see in the back. You ready? Go ahead. And it is tails. So if you have heads, you need to take a seat. Okay? So this is, for all the teachers, this is a great lesson on probability and statistics. So for those who are left, we're going to go again, pick tails or heads. And those of you in your classrooms as well, play along, honor system. Ready? It is tails again. Just so you know, I'm being honest. Look, can you fact check me? Yeah, it's tails. Okay? Who's left? How many people? Awesome. Ready? Heads or tails? It's tails again. Who do we have left? 2 people? 3 people? Excellent. You ready? Heads or tails? It is heads. So give everybody a round of applause. Thank you for playing. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on me. So I came down here from Portland, Maine, and as I was coming into town this morning, it reminded me an awful lot of my hometown. It's about the same size as your community. The layout of the schools, like everything's just really familiar. I've had kids your age. This is this picture from a few years ago. I have 2 daughters. They're now in high school. But I remember just like all the memories from when I was your age and in school came flooding back when I came in the building. So I remember what it was like to be where you are right now and just how exciting it is. So This actually is my first book. And I wrote this book in second grade. It was called John in the Jungle. It was a very serious book where this is probably a dated reference for most of you. You guys don't know who Tarzan is, do you? Oh, wow, good. This is a very advanced group. I thought it'd just be the teachers who remember Tarzan. But I thought I was Tarzan when I was a kid. And I used to run around my neighborhood in a little leopard print Speedo, swing from trees, climbing trees in my neighbor's yard. And I thought I was Tarzan. I'd pretend to fight lions and tigers and bears. And so I wrote a book about it. And it was probably the worst written, ugliest book in my entire class. So it was those little blue books. Your teachers probably remember when you took exams in school and you had to write an essay. You had those little blue books. And then I glued cardboard to the outside covers to make a hardcover book. And then because I felt this was such a serious literary work, I wanted to put something formal on the cover. All my classmates made these colorful colors and patterns on their book covers. I chose, I don't know if you can see it with the lighting, but the most hideous wood paneling wallpaper I could find at the store. I had my parents buy for me. And the reason I share that with you is, number one, I never imagined in my entire life I'd grow up to write books and be an actual author for a living. It just happened. And number two, just because something starts out,
I was trying to turn off one.
Okay. Did you guys get a little glimpse? Let's get a little glimpse of how ugly this thing was, right? But I felt like this is the most serious literary work in history in second grade. But just because something starts out ugly or you're not happy with the result doesn't mean you can't work to make it better, and practice makes, right? So that was my first book as a kid. This is my first book as an adult. For most of you, this book would probably cure your insomnia. For your parents and your teachers, they might actually enjoy it. But so I've written a lot of business books. One book turned into 7 or 8, turned into now 16 total. But here are a few of them. And my point is, your work as you progress, it's not going to start out perfect. It's probably not going to start out great. But as you keep working, it's going to get better and better and better over time. And what we want to show you today is just sort of the inspiration behind the book and then how it evolved. And you're going to actually see the book come to life on the screen. Do you believe me? You're going to see the book come to life on the screen? Show of hands. We got some skeptics I have to win over here, folks. Okay. Challenge accepted. So how does someone from Portland, Maine, end up all the way down in Texas? I know the obvious answer is an airplane. Or one kid yesterday said drive. I'm like, yeah. Oh, a boat is possible. Yeah, because you guys are pretty close to the water. But no, so it's just kind of a hypothetical or a rhetorical question. And what it is for many of you, the world has gotten a lot smaller with the internet. So when your teachers, your parents were your age, the world wasn't this small. You weren't really able to connect with an illustrator in Texas very easily if you're an author all the way up in Portland, Maine. But you have the advantage of the world being a much smaller place because technology gets you everywhere you need to be and want to go, right? You can just about talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime. So I connected with Miss Rhonda Yocklin, who is a teacher at Rivera School District. And she's the person who encouraged me to write this book. And she said it's a message about, exactly what your principal said, a message about the importance of positive attitude and mindset, and just how much you can overcome, through the power of your mind. And I said, I'm not a children's author. I write business books, books about leadership, books for grown-ups. And she said something very important to me. She said, writing's writing. You guys believe writing's writing? She said, writing's writing. And she said, what do you have to lose? Give it a try. And I'm really glad I listened to her and I took her advice. And I think that's, a learning takeaway for all of you is that You never know where you're going to get your next great idea. You know, whether you're in kindergarten, college, you know, anything in between. You never know where you're going to get your next great idea if you're willing to just listen to people with a lot of wisdom and experience. And none of this would have been possible without Miss Yockland, so I want to put that thank you out there for her. And her family's become like family to me. So she introduced me to Piper Colston. For those of you who don't know Piper, that's her illustration of herself. She's in 8th grade when this project started. From start to finish, this book that you see took about 6 months. And there are a couple really challenging spots that we'll talk about, and you'll see through kind of the lesson and the story a little bit more about that. But before we bring the book to life, I need to talk to you about another book, okay? You guys like coloring books? Right? For all of your teachers, this presentation is kind of going to be like a Pixar movie. It's mostly going to be for the kids, but there'll be a little grown-up humor interjected. The kids love coloring books. Fun fact, if you're not an author, if you're not like, let's say, a children's author or a business author, fun fact, during the pandemic, 6 of the top 20 best-selling books in America were adult coloring books. So you guys are the future, you're creating future readers. I'm counting on you to reverse that trend. But for today, we're gonna have fun with a coloring book, okay? So when you start a project, whether you're writing a story, a paper, you're drawing a picture, whatever you're doing, what do you start with? Before you write anything, what does it look like? We had somebody raise their hand up there. Yes, sir. Well, you could start with capital letters, but what does it look like before you get started? It starts with a blank sheet of paper, right? Okay? So we're going to start with a blank sheet of paper, okay? Right? Everybody see the blank paper? So now what I need you to do, and I need the help of everybody that's watching on the web stream in their classroom, is I need you to rub the color black. If you're wearing the color black, maybe if you're not wearing black, but like the tops of your shoes or your shoelaces are black, or you have black hair tie or glasses, rub something black on your hand, and at the count of 3, you're gonna throw it at me right here, okay? You gotta rub something black. You ready? Rub black. And 1, 2, 3, throw it. Some of you didn't throw me anything. And some of you in your classrooms, I'm afraid, didn't throw me anything. So let's try it again. You ready? Let's get a good, strong throw here. Even your teachers and coaches. There we go. On the count of 3, ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh. Let's see what happened. It feels a little different. Okay? Yeah, look at what you did. Thank you. Okay? So we're bringing this to life. There's one final step. Okay, so when you create a drawing, or like you said earlier, an outline for something, then you want to fill it in with details, and you want to fill it in with colors, right? Right? Okay, this is the interactive portion, guys. You want to fill it in with colors, right? There we go. Okay, so what I need you to do is take a color that isn't black or white, find that, rub it, and you're going to throw it at me on the count of 3. We need a little bit of that bright, really pretty kind of pastel orange, or would you call that salmon, Coach? What color? Salmon? Salmon. Someone get some color off of Coach's t-shirt. There we go. And now we're going to get all your colors that you've rubbed in, and you're going to throw them at me on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. That's what I'm talking about. That's better. Was it, Coach, is that good technique? Did we see good technique from everybody? Awesome. 2 claps for Coach, by the way. There we go. Playoffs?
Yes, sir.
Round of applause. There we go. Best of luck. Awesome. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring this to life just like we're going to bring the book to life. Are you ready? You guys see that in the back? Look at that. You did that. Thank you. Excellent. So now that we did this, we can get down to business. We're just setting the table, guys. We're just setting the table. So we've got this outline that my illustrator created, and I think there's a real important learning point here for your teachers too. Okay? So when we created this cover, this is not what I envisioned. This isn't what I envisioned at all. I had a different idea for what I thought the cover of the book should look like. And when I hired my illustrator, Piper, I said, here's what I think, the cover of the book should look like, and then here's what I think the first illustration, the first page should look like. Can you give me a mock-up, like give me a sample of, basically illustrate this description? So she said, sure. Said, we'll see if we can work together if you're happy working with me and I like what you produced. So she did that, and then she calls me, and she was like, John, I produced this cover for you, but I've got to tell you, I really don't think, now keep in mind I'm 52 and she's in 8th grade. She's like, I really don't think this cover concept that you come up with does the story of the book justice. I would like to propose rendering an alternate design. So teachers, this is an 8th grader telling me in very technical professional terminology, I would like to propose rendering an alternate design. So I'm like, this kid's a pro. And I thought to myself, if she has the courage as an 8th grader to push back against an adult who's like, this isn't my first book, like she has the courage to push back and has that kind of, dare I say, Texas swagger. It's part of the reason I love your state. You don't, let's be honest, you don't think you're better than everybody else, you are better than everybody else, right? Yeah. So, I have a real appreciation for that kind of confidence. And I said, sure, go for it. Let's see what you can do. So when I said that kind of gave her the green light. She's like, all right, listen, while we're on the subject, the illustration description for that first page, I want to change that too. Trust me. I'm like, okay. So she sends me the new illustration for the cover and for the first page, and I was blown away. And here's my point for all the adults in the room and all the adults watching online. Yes, you're highly credentialed, you got a ton of experience. Sometimes your best ideas are going to come from unlikely places, and you need to trust your instincts. I am so fortunate I trusted my instincts with her because it's come out so much better than I imagined. And just think about all the emotional courage that took for a kid to kind of have that difficult conversation with an adult. So if one of your kids is having that kind of difficult conversation about something with you, I think it merits really taking a long, hard look at it and listening. So thank you. So let's get started with the book. How about it, right? You guys ready? Okay. So it was Monday morning at Jungletown Elementary School. Rudy bounced into the classroom. Is that what kangaroos do? They bounce, right? Yeah. And he took his seat in the front row. Love people that sit in the front row, don't we, teachers? Right? And Miss Screech was perched on her table. We're having a pop quiz, she said. Now this is the rough draft of the first illustration in the book. Okay? Now here's what I'm trying to tell all you guys. That looks okay, right? And like if Piper were here and I asked her, she'd say, yeah, that looks okay. But your first draft, your first try at anything isn't necessarily going to be pretty. And you might not be happy with it, but you have to keep working at it. Because the finished product became, right? I told you we were going to bring it to life from black and white to color. I even won over your coach. That's a tough job. So little Kangaroo felt confident. He thought he might be the smartest creature in the room. Anybody goes over Miss Screech, who was an owl, gathered the animals' answers and marked the papers. Soon the wise owl was ready to announce the winner. Congratulations, India Elephant, said Miss Screech. You're the top of the class. Rudy wasn't real happy when he saw the score. Didn't even get second. Whatever happened to you, you're expecting one outcome, you thought it was going to be great, and not so much. Sometimes that happens. So, guys, with his what? With his tail between his legs. You guys are being so polite, you're actually allowed to talk when I let you fill in the blanks. You're not going to get in trouble. We're good to go, okay? So here's Rudy. He's limped home. He's had better days. Not fair. He's crying to his parents. You guys ever cry to your parents about something being fair? Show of hands. Wow. It's either early or some of you are fibbing and trying to get over on it. Even your teachers raised their hand on that one. So he's upset because he's comparing himself to his classmates. Elephants never forget anything, and he thought that Streaky Cheetah was cheating on the test. I'm not going back to the other page, but did you see what the cheetah was doing? What was he doing? Right here, she has her hand up. He was on his phone, right? You guys have your phones on airplane mode? You have your phones put away? Awesome. So his mom just kind of sat him down and said, whenever something happens and it's bad, you got to have this kangaroo mindset. And that's the big thing I want you guys to take away from today. Kangaroo mindset. You're going to take a deep breath. I'm going to ask all of you to do this right now with me. You're going to take a deep breath in. You're going to hold it for a second, and you're just going to exhale. Take a deep breath out. Okay? When we get stressed out, what happens? We tend to shorten our breath. It gets quick, and it accelerates our heart rate, and you get that nervous feeling in our belly, and that's not good. We want to take a deep breath and try and relax. Okay? And then you're going to tell yourself what Rudy's dad told him. You are going to chin up, chest out, and you're going to move forward. Okay? And then you send him out to play with his friends. So a little plot twist when Rudy goes out to play with his friends, what happens? I mean, look at these rough drafts and how much better they came out with practice. You know, Piper spent, going back to these 2 pages that you're about to see, this one and the next one, she spent days, hours at a time for days, trying to adjust it and make it just right. And she got frustrated. She would tell you she got frustrated, but then she decided there's 2 choices I can make. You can get frustrated or you can get fascinated. So I think when you're struggling with something, when something's really challenging for you, if you take that perspective, I could be frustrated, that's not going to help me, or I could be fascinated and try and problem solve. Okay, and get creative. So she zoomed in here. Rudy bounced out of the house to find his friends. He looked all over Jungle Town, and he finally found them. They were sitting on a log. So he's kind of in the back there, wondering why. They're all there without him, right? This India elephant, streaky cheetah, and alligator, they're all doing what? They're all watching a movie, yeah. Florence the sloth fell asleep. That's because that's what sloths do, right? So they're watching, I think it's Jaws. You're not old enough to remember that. All right, you need a bigger boat. There you go. So Rudy's upset. There's Streaky Cheetah. Streaky Cheetah's sitting there in Lululemon yoga pants, eating popcorn, watching Netflix. Meanwhile, Rudy's got like kind of a strange feeling in his belly. He doesn't feel good. He wasn't sure. Is he upset? Is he mad? He's definitely jealous, right? Nobody told him. He asked them why, and they said, well, you're just too jumpy. So sometimes like our talents can be a blessing or a curse. So one of a kangaroo's talents is they can do what? Who said jump? Somebody said jump. There you go. Kangaroos can jump. That's a talent. Does that talent come in handy here? No, it's kind of a curse. But you'll see later it can be a blessing. So Rudy just sort of lost his balance a little bit. He walks home with his tail between his legs again. And he's thinking, well, maybe jumpiness will be a good thing tomorrow. They had this sports day, and he's got a race. So he's doing this, he's using his big back feet. Fun fact about kangaroos, kangaroos can move pretty quickly. And the big reason behind that is their big back legs are like springs, but also their tail operates as a fix today. Is the kangaroo not only is the only mammal on the planet that cannot move backwards, it is the only animal that becomes more efficient. It's kind of blurry, right? Yeah, because it makes a big difference. You can really feel how fast he's. And what happened? A new student they had in school, and Rudy's jump was 5 times higher than he was, for comparison. But so, like, I'll give you a little bit of the backstory behind how this was written, and I think Coach might like this. So this kind of is reminiscent of, the quote, new student who comes in from out of district, and Gaudi actually lives in an empty lot that just has a mailbox, so she can be registered in district as the prize to recruit athlete. It's a little shady, I know, but that's Gaudi's backstory, shades of Friday Night Lights, right? So what's the lesson here for Rudy? What's he doing? He's comparing himself to who? Illustrator. That it's not fair to you to compare yourself today to somebody else today. The best you can make is you today versus you yesterday. And so often we hear people say, you gotta be the best, you gotta be the best, you gotta be the best. Be the best. And I think what really needs to be said is be your best. What's your best? Trying as hard as you can. When you fail, trying again. Trying as hard as you can, maybe not being satisfied and trying to make it better, even if it's already good, trying to make it great the next time. So Rudy learns that lesson here today at sports day. But he still thinks, it's not fair. And what's his mom say? What's most important is you try your best. Your best. And that's what I'm telling you. That is what's most important for all of us. So his dad gives him a little pep talk and explains to him, kangaroos, we're unique. What's special about us is we cannot move backwards. Cannot move backwards. So we got to move on to the next thing. You can't do anything about yesterday. What can you do? What can you do anything about? What can you control? Today, right? Yeah, it's you yesterday versus you today. Good. So they got another challenge. They decided to go roller skating in the jungle. How many of you have been roller skating in the jungle? All right, let's be honest. Okay, we got one hand went up. Good. So his dad made him special shoes, roller skates with skateboards and wheels. Rudy's got this determined look. Now here's another one I want you to look at. Much less, don't worry so much about the words on the page, everyone. what I want you to really take in is the illustration. Okay? And here's my point with this. If you didn't read the bottom of the page, and you just looked at the picture, you would know exactly what was going on. Because the picture's worth what? 1,000 words, right? You guys have all heard that phrase before? I'm not sure who said that. I don't know if it was LeBron James, Pitbull, or Socrates. A picture is worth 1,000 words. And if you look at Rudy, what's he doing? He's trying really hard, isn't he? He's clenching his fists. You can see sweat pouring off of his face. He's gritting his teeth. He's got that determined look in his eye. Now, what's the cheetah look like he's doing? You tell me. He's not even trying, right? He's just sort of gliding. He's making it look easy, because cheetahs are what? How fast are cheetahs? So Coach said kangaroos can go up to 40. How fast what's the cheetah's top speed? 65 to 70. So of course he's making it look easy, right? Is it fair for Rudy to compare himself to that? No. But something happens. Spoiler alert. They're headed downhill fast. Too fast. They're about to hit water, right? The elephant, being smart and having a great memory, says, let's try and skate backwards. It'll slow you down. So Streaky manages to do that. But Rudy, what can't he do? That's right, good job. So where does Rudy end up? Look at that. It's the alligator. Says, hey Rudy, we're just alike. I can't go backwards either. I can't crawl backwards. And Rudy, look at the look on his face. He's saying, hey man, we are not the same. I just happen to be in the water with you. So this is my favorite page in the whole book. Not because of anything I wrote, but because of the illustration. And again, this is another one probably for your teachers. How many parents do we have here? Okay. Does that look familiar? Like we've all been there, right? You know, and kids, your parents have all done the same thing. When you're in bed, they open the door real quietly, they leave the light off, and they're just checking on you to see how you're doing. So Rudy's upset, you know, the blessing and the curse of not being able to move backwards. He's kind of hating that unique ability that he has. And he's not seeing it as a good thing, even though it really is. So the next day, it's kind of a gloomy day. And he starts down the hill to school, and something happens. He thought he got lost. Maybe he went the wrong way, but no. Now look at how much the perspective changes from this rough draft to that, right? Totally different. So the path to school is a little flooded or a lot flooded. Streaky fell in. And what's Rudy do? Here's a classmate who cheated on the test, beat him in the race, didn't include him when they're watching movies, and what's Rudy do? Huh? Oh, he does something. He jumped into the river with him to carry him out. So he climbed onto his back, and Rudy used those big feet that he thought were a curse, turned out to be a blessing, and he used them. They can't go backwards, but they sure could pull him out of the water and up a steep hill, right? There's that determined look. The cheetah fell asleep. He was so tired. And he just had to keep telling himself. He had to keep talking to himself. Chin up, chest out, move forward. Chin up, chest out, move forward. You guys, can we turn on the lights for a minute? We're going to do another little interactive activity. You guys, by show of hands, can you tell me, do you have a little voice that talks to you? Now here's the best part of all this. Most of you had your hands down, you're like, I don't know what he's talking about. I don't have a little voice that talks to me. I don't have a little voice that talks to me. No, he's crazy. So we're gonna see about your little voice. You ready? Okay. So here's what I need you to do. I need you all to stand up in your classrooms. Stand up as well. Okay. Now here's what you're gonna do. All right. You're not going to stand on the table. I'm just getting to where you can see me, okay? Your feet on the floor, and you listen to my instructions, okay? I want you to take your hand, your arm, and raise it as high as you can. And now, I want you to raise it a little higher. Take a look at the person next to you. All right, Fal, we have a problem. Okay, have a seat. Let's talk about what just happened, okay? What just happened? Huh? What was my first set of instructions? Raise your hand as high as you can, right? And what was my second instruction? All right? And what'd you do? Some of you like stuck your arm, like your shoulder a little, out a little to get a little higher. Some of you went up on your tippy toes, didn't you? How many people went up on their tippy toes? Right? How many people just kind of stuck their arm, like almost like took your shoulder out of the socket, right? Okay? Nobody stood on the table, that's good. I was worried somebody might stand on the table. But here's my point. All of you that when I said you have a little voice that talks to you, everyone that didn't raise their hand, your little voice just talked to you and said, oh, this is as high as I can raise my hand with that first set of instructions. I can't go any higher. But then when my voice told you, hey, let's raise it a little higher, then you found a little more, you found a little extra, right? So I think that's a good lesson for us that we have to talk to ourselves and we have to tell ourselves the right inputs, so to speak. Right? Okay? Because I think we always have a little more in the tank than we're willing to give. Okay? See it in sports all the time. Right? So just remember that. When you think like you sort of maxed out your effort on something, whether it's studying, a project that you're working on, like there's always a little more you can do. You can problem solve maybe in a different way to get a better result, okay? And that's what Rudy was telling himself. He was talking to himself. He was giving himself positive inputs. And what happened? The news was rescued, went all over Jungletown, it kind of went viral, right? Probably Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And when the flood was over, his friends, his parents gathered at the school, they had a big party to celebrate him. He was a hero. This same kangaroo that was having all these challenges, was losing races, and not finishing first and getting the best score. He used his, what he thought was a curse that turned out to be a unique talent. He used it for the good. But it didn't happen right away. He had all these other experiences that had to lead up to that. Right? And they asked him to give a speech. He said, sometimes things happen you can't control. Is there anybody here that can control everything that happens to them in their life? I would like to meet you later if you can control everything that happens to you in your life. And you can help me a lot. So he said, you might get a disappointed score, not win a race. Sometimes you might feel left out, but you can't change the what? You can't change the past. Right? What can you do? You can make the next day better. Chin up. Let me hear you say it. Chin up. Move forward. Right? Once more. Everybody. One more time. Chin up, chest out, move forward. There you go. So I'd love to do now, as we're kind of wrapping things up, is I'd love to take some questions. I can answer some questions on behalf of Piper with the illustration project as well, or, you know, if you want to ask questions about writing a book, you have kangaroo questions. Any top speed of animal questions, I'd like to ask you to direct to your coach. Anything else is fair game. I'm happy to answer questions. Who has the first question? Yes, back around the corner. 40 miles an hour, right? 40 miles an hour. Who has the next question? Anybody here want to be an author? Have you thought about maybe writing a book? Awesome. Any of you thought about maybe illustrating a book? How many people enjoy art and drawing and painting and that kind of thing? So here's the funny thing. Piper never really, and she said, you know what? Kind of like I was told, writing is writing, art's art. And opportunity to express her art in a unique way. Any other questions? Give your hand up. Could you repeat the question? How old is the illustrator? She's a 9th grader at the high school in Rivera. Yeah. She was 8th grader when we started this project. It was January of her 8th grade year, and we ended up finishing it in June. And the really interesting thing with that is, and I think there's a lesson for everybody here, she gave me all the illustrations and said, I'd like to give you feedback on these. And I said, it looks great. And she said, well, I don't think so. Like she could have told me, it's all done, it's all set, perfect. And I just said that, like, I'd have been thrilled. And she said, it's not good enough for me. I don't want to attach my name to something that looks like this yet. Okay? So what is the most important word in that sentence? Yet. Thank you. Yes, 2 claps for yet. And so as opposed to saying, you know, you don't know how to do something, you can say, like I take guitar lessons. I take them online. I'm just not musically inclined yet. Like, I am not a good guitar player yet. As opposed to just saying, I'm not a good guitar player. Because when you just say that definitive statement, you close the door on improvement. So she said, I need 60 days to finish it and make it right. Trust me, you'll be happier if you can give me this extension. And again, like the words, trust me, I trusted her that she could make the cover better. Remember that moment that we had? So I said, okay, I trust you. 60 days later, she improved that thing in ways I didn't even think were possible. So, you had a question?
Yes. Do you have a favorite teacher that inspired you to write this book, or did you pull any of the words from maybe your favorite teacher to put in this book that you can remember?
This is a fabulous question. Do I have a favorite teacher that helped me write the book? Yes. Her name is Rhonda Yochlin. And she is officially my favorite teacher. I have 2 teachers that I had in school, though. Miss Yochlin wasn't my teacher. She's my friend. So I had a teacher in 10th grade. We'll call him Bob. And after I tell you a story, I'll call on you, I promise, sweetie. We'll call him Bob, because that's his name. And I wasn't a great student. You guys need to understand that. At the time, I wasn't yet a great student in 10th grade. And he told me, under no uncertain terms, John, you're a terrible writer. You're a horrible presenter. You're going to fail. It was ancient civilization class, history class. It's like, you're failing ancient civilization, and you probably should be held back in 10th grade, because if we somehow, by the grace of God, let you advance to 11th grade, you will bomb U.S. history, because there's a huge research project. You have to write a huge essay, and then you have to present it in front of the whole class. Like, he told me I was a horrible writer and a horrible speaker. And today, I make my living writing books and traveling around the country speaking. but I don't hold a grudge. I'm actually a very generous person. I make sure every time I publish a new book, I send him a signed copy. So he's like, my point in sharing that story with all of you is you're going to have great teachers. There are great teachers in this room. There are great teachers in the classrooms watching online right now. But at some point, you're going to have a teacher that you just don't click so well with, or they give you some hard feedback. And instead of taking that as criticism that you let hurt you, you need to use that as fuel to prove them wrong. And say, I'll show them. So that was kind of my I'll show them teacher that I just didn't click with. I also had another teacher, my coach in high school, who, and I think everyone's in this story, okay? Everyone is in this story. I'm so glad you asked this. So I was the kid who, like sometimes kids go through an awkward stage where, they're in between sizes in their clothes, or, they have acne, or they're socially awkward. So that stage for me was known as childhood. It didn't start in a certain grade and end in a certain grade. I was just kind of the awkward kid. And in 10th grade, I was in a new school, and I was kind of very much a small fish in a big pond, so to speak. And I wasn't a great student. I didn't know anybody. I was the new kid. I didn't have any friends. And my way of getting attention was to be a class clown, which is not a good thing. And as a class clown, I joked around a bit too much. And my health teacher, one day, it was the last period before lunch, my health teacher just put a stop to it. I was being a joker, but not a funny one. And he just said, Brubaker, be quiet, don't say another word. You're staying after class, I need to talk to you. And his name is John Disler. And he was the football coach, the wrestling coach, and the lacrosse coach at my high school. And he taught health and physical education. And he was a hulk of a man. He was an all-American football player and wrestler in college, and lacrosse player. Just everyone really kind of looked up to him and admired him. And I was being a jerk in his class. I was being disrespectful. And so I just waited there after class. All my classmates left and went to lunch. And he just sat me down and he looked at me and said, this isn't going too well, is it? What do you mean? I was playing dumb. And he said, nobody likes you. Which is kind of harsh, right? Nobody likes you. And he said, you want to know why? I have a feeling you're going to tell me whether I say yes or no. And he said, it's because you don't like you. He said, when you start liking you, other people start liking you, you'll make friends. He's like, nobody takes you seriously. You're a punchline, but you're not funny. And when you start taking you seriously, things will get better for you here. I don't mean this class, I mean your experience at this school. And he's like, this isn't an opportunity for you to give me any feedback. It's not your turn to talk. He said, come see me after school at 3:30 in the gym. Now, I thought he was going to make me run laps, coach. Like I'm going to get punished for being a clown in class. So he left the room, I followed him out, and he went to lunch with his wife. She taught at the school too. So fast forward after school, I get down to his office, he pulls something out from behind his desk. It was a lacrosse stick. I don't expect most of you know what a lacrosse stick is. It's kind of like a hockey stick, but in the air, but not air hockey. It's like football with a weapon. Yeah. So he hands me a lacrosse stick. He's like, you're playing lacrosse in the spring. Learn how to use this. I'm like, I am? He said, yeah, you are. You're holding it upside down. You better figure that out fast. Here's a ball. So he had me running, lifting weights, practicing, how to catch and throw and shoot the ball. And I figured at that point I had nothing to lose. Things couldn't get worse for me, it could only go up. So I started doing those things. I started feeling better about myself. I started taking myself more seriously. And what do you know? He was right. My classmates started to take me more seriously. My grades improved. I started making friends because I was on a team. Because you have that built-in camaraderie, that common adversity, a challenge. And that's when the trajectory of my academic career finally changed for the better. It's because one man had the courage to have a difficult conversation with me that he could have just said, you know what, this kid's a lost cause. I'm going to go have lunch with my wife. Because she taught at the school too, and they probably got a very limited amount of time together. Now fast forward another year. We come back to school in the fall after summer break. He's not there. So my teammates and I and my friends are like, hey, where's Coach Dissler? So we asked the athletic director and he said, he doesn't work here anymore. And we're like, oh, he was great. Everybody loved him, you know? And we said, we don't know. He didn't really give us an answer. So fast forward further from there, the college I went to, this is the importance for all of you of relationships, and you never know what these relationships you make with teachers will turn into when you're older. The college I attended was because that college coach knew my high school coach, even though he wasn't coaching there anymore. He called him to ask about me, and he vouched for me and said I was a good kid. I never knew that until after the fact. I never knew that. I decided because in his influence, I wanted to become a teacher and a coach. I wanted to be John Dissler for other people, to the point where I modeled really everything I did after his example. And I'm never too busy to have a 5-minute conversation with somebody in the hopes that I can be that person for them. But I never got the chance to say thank you to them. And this is what I really need the teachers here and the coaches here to hear. I never got the opportunity to say thank you, and he changed my life for the better forever. So thanks to the internet remember I said the internet makes the world a lot smaller? You can find people all over the place. So I Googled his name back in 2007. Because now I get kids of my own, I'm looking at their teachers and their coaches' influence on them. And I found his wife's phone number online. She's a nurse. So I call her up, I said, hey, is this Corey Dissler, John Dissler's wife from Mercersburg Academy in Pennsylvania? Which I know sounds like kind of creepy, stalkerish. And she's like, depends, who's this? I said, you probably don't remember me, your husband was my teacher and my coach, my name's John Brubaker. She's like, oh, we remember you, John. Like, not good, we remember you. And I said, listen, I never got a chance to thank your husband before he left. I owe him a thank you. She's like, he's right here, I'll give you his number though, you can call him. So I called him up and I said, I just owe you a thank you. Here's the update on what I become because of you. Just taking a few minutes to talk to me that day. I don't even know if you remember that. He's like, oh, I remember that. And so I said, you're in Connecticut, I'm in Maine, we're not that far away. Can I come down and take you to lunch? He said, sure. So we met for lunch a couple weeks later, and I didn't get a chance to say anything to him right away. He just said, listen, before you say anything, I need to tell you this. When we hung up the phone that day, I turned around, I looked at my wife, and we both said the same thing to each other. We didn't waste 8 years of our life. I'm like, what? He's like, we left the school because our department chair wasn't giving us any feedback, positive or negative. My athletic director didn't let me know what kind of job I was doing. I didn't expect a 15 to 17-year-old kid to say, hey, you changed my life. Thank you so much. They're not at that place in life where they can do that. But my mentors and my administrators could, and we just didn't feel like we're making a difference. And they were the most two beloved teachers and coaches in that school. Everybody loved them, and they thought they were horrible at their jobs. They lost a sense of meaning and purpose. They got burned out and they left. And it's tragic that two people that good at what they do basically were never told that. It's like you made those 8 years, one conversation made 8 years worthwhile. And I'll never forget that. And I share that story because each of you never know what kind of difference you're making on somebody. Because they may not have the foresight or the wisdom to tell you. And I really want you to hear that. Even if you're not hearing it from the kids, know that you are making a difference. And if you're close to thinking I don't know if I'm doing the right thing here, I don't know if I'm meant to be doing this, call me. I'll give you my number, we'll talk about it. Because I don't want to see any more John Disslers leave education. Your job is the job that you create every career out there for these kids. So We do have time for one more question. I promised I would call on you, but I really had to share that and kind of pour into your teachers with that, okay? What's your name, sweetheart? What is it? Diamond? Okay, and what was your question? How high do they jump? I am not sure what the answer is to that. I could look it up afterwards. I'll find out for you. Your coach might know. He's an expert on, speed, vertical maybe. Do you know a kangaroo's vertical? 30 feet long jump. That's kind of an answer. So I really want to thank all of you for your time. I know, we're running short here. I really appreciate your attention. If you guys want to stick around and have any questions afterwards, I'm happy to talk to you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be here. I actually have a little present for your principal. I know you don't want to be the center of attention, but I got a little something for you. Oh, we're going to trade? Oh, thank you. There you go. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. What an amazing story. You're doing great things, making a difference. We appreciate you. So keep doing it. I want to write a book now. I have some ideas. I haven't started, but I'm going to look into it. And all of you can do the same thing. You can also be an illustrator as well. So let's thank the teachers who are here. Also a round of applause for the teachers. For Dr. Casas, our superintendent. And our board member, Mrs. Tijerina. And I'm going to ask Dr. Casas to come and say a few words because Coach Brew had very, very important messages in the book about being a good student, about being your best. We're all different, but we are good enough, and that we're a family. And Dr. Casas believes in all of that, and in you, so do I, the teachers, Ms. Tijerina as well. Dr. Casas, come on over. Chairs, come to your bottom.
First of all, we give a round of applause to our author. I want the Jersey way. We are loud, and let's give him a real round of applause with a lot of noise so that everyone in the town can hear us. Are you ready? Yes. 1, 2, 3. When they say authors, sir, I'm going to be my biases. You never know what kind of author you're going to get. Some of them can be very conservative, and some can be very charismatic. He's very engaging. I think he was one of the best authors that I see in person, really connecting with the students. So let's give it another round of applause. Because she is always a great Jersey ambassador. She's always looking for the best for Falfurrias. I'm not going to hold it against her that she's a board member. As a matter of fact, I think that's an opportunity for us. What happened today is thanks to that lady and Mindy Arevalo. Can we give a round of applause? I sometimes come in lunch And I just see, oh my God, what's gonna happen in the cafeteria today with the author? I was kind of shaking, but you were amazing. I am super, super proud. I want you to get here. That you are doing a great job. Great job. So let's give a round of applause to you. Last thing I want to say. Last thing. I'm grateful to everyone here because things happen for a reason. It happened fast and furious. All of a sudden, he's going to Rivera and they say there's an opportunity to bring him here. So I'm very appreciative of that happening. But one thing that he made me think when he was asking us to reach high and high, I want you to reach to your highest potential. That you experience life every day. That you can go say, today I live the best day. And the next day you continue to achieve the highest things. Okay? Because all of us can have our dreams accomplished and jump high. And sometimes we're gonna fall. But what do we do when we fall?
Get back up.
Get back up and learn from it. Right? That's it. You cannot change that you fall down, but you can prevent not falling down again. I love you guys. You were amazing. The staff, today was a great day at Falfurrias Elementary School. Thank you, sir, for coming to us, and thank you everyone who made it happen. Thank you.